Ambassador Helena Ruiz stepped into the heart of the Galactic Council with the poise of someone who had faced far worse than hostile stares. Her presence alone was a contradiction to centuries of tradition, a human among ancients. Eyes from every species tracked her movement with an intensity veiled in ceremony, but saturated with suspicion. She was Earth's first and only diplomatic emissary at this level, and that made her dangerous in her eyes. Her path to this chamber had not been peaceful. Human history screamed across the stars. Wars waged over principal survival or sheer defiance. Yet Helena had been chosen not despite that legacy, but because of it. The Council wanted peace, but they feared the cost of war with a race that had clawed itself up from death-world savagery. Helena's record promised stability. Dozens of treaties, averted conflicts, and economic booms traced back to her quiet influence. But as she approached the raised dais of the High Triumvirate, she felt something more primal waiting. The first hour unfolded in veiled hostility. Ambassadors from the Surat, Koran, and Voltari voiced bureaucratic objections, claiming procedural errors in Earth's appointment to certain trade negotiations. The tone was diplomatic, but the undercurrent was clear. Helena answered each in perfect cadence, citing charter laws more fluently than the charter authors. Her voice cut through the chamber, soft but relentless. Silence followed. It was during the recess that the first true sign of danger emerged. Her aide, a Zalari named Yin, whispered that her private comms had been blocked. No messages were reaching or leaving her diplomatic channel. She calmly excused herself, walking directly to the communications suite. A pair of guards blocked her path. Their insignia didn't match any official council detachment. Her request to pass was denied. Her response was to turn back. She didn't press, didn't argue, but she noted everything. When the council reconvened, the real ambush began. A motion was raised to question Earth's status as a sentient responsible civilization, citing fears of genetic aggression anomalies. The floor erupted with thinly veiled accusations. Humans were unstable, engineered by chaos, incapable of long-term peace. The motion was preposterous, yet gained immediate support from several core species. Helena stood. Her reply was clinical. She listed Earth's cooperative acts, humanitarian missions to plague worlds, the absorption of climate refugees from alien worlds, the cybernetics gifted to species that previously lacked hands. Then she paused. The pause itself was a blade, and the room felt it. She asked one question. How many council species were once invaded by others in this chamber? There was no answer. She knew why. The council had buried its own violent past under layers of protocol and projection. Humanity was a mirror they loathed to look into. As she turned from the podium, a pulse of pressure slammed into her skull. A psychic assault, woven subtly into the resonance systems of the chamber, flared behind her eyes. She stumbled but did not fall. Her spine locked straight, her vision blurred. Around her, 9 members of the council chanted a linguistic sequence imperceptible to the untrained ear. It was a psychic lattice designed to disrupt neural pathways. Helena had trained for this. Decades ago, in black site academies on the Europa colonies, she had walked through psychic fire. Her mind flexed against the intrusion. Blood began to drip from her nose. Her left hand trembled. She took one step forward, then another, and collapsed. Medical bots surged forward as scripted, announcing a biofailure unrelated to council actions. She was carried out in silence. No one protested, not even the human junior envoys. Their shock had frozen them. She was returned to Earth hours later in stasis. Official cause: cerebral hemorrhage induced by latent Earth-born genetic instability. The Council's statement was circulated before the transport even left orbit. On Earth, the news was met with restrained horror. Governments across the Terran Accord activated silent protocols. There were no speeches, No marches, just silence. Her body was delivered to a classified ward beneath the Andes Array, where the stasis lock was disengaged. Doctors worked furiously, but not blindly. Helena's body was enhanced, not visibly, not through crude implants, but through neuroorganic tech embedded at the molecular level. Layers of code unfurled in her brainstem. Backup cognitive matrices began to reinitialize. She wasn't just a diplomat. She was a sentinel, a last resort. Protocol HLENA. Back in orbit, ships went dark. Communications rerouted through quantum mesh nets. Earth entered its ancient state of war preparation, though not in a way the galaxy remembered. No armies moved. No fleets gathered. Instead, teams in black moved through stars, gathering data. The Council's hidden network had been exposed. Agents disappeared. Networks went silent. The galaxy began to shiver. The Council continued its charade. Internal investigations declared no wrongdoing. Species involved in the psychic assault denied any participation, but their supply chains began to falter. Energy stations failed without explanation. Artificial suns blinked out. On more than one planet, planetary defense grids came online in panic, misfiring into the void. The humans did not respond to inquiries. Messages were returned unopened. Treaties sat unsigned. Commerce with the Accord fell to a halt. And deep below the Andes, Helena's eyes opened. The return wasn't cinematic. There was no gasp, no moment of shock. Her systems had never truly shut down. She had processed everything even in stasis. She knew who tried to kill her. She knew why. They had attacked a diplomat. Not a soldier. Not a spy. A voice of peace. That alone was her final piece of data. Not rage. Calculation. A quiet message was sent. A single ping to Earth's orbital headquarters. 3 words. Begin procedural escalation. She sat up. Her balance returned in seconds. Her face was expressionless. She was not here for vengeance. She was here for resolution. Earth was silent no longer. But they would not roar. They would whisper. And the stars would shatter to listen. 3 days after Helena's reactivation, the diplomatic silence shattered. The Galactic Council's outer communication relays started suffering localized quantum disruptions, initially dismissed as freak cosmic interference. Then came the blackouts, specific, surgical, and always targeting systems used to surveil human-aligned sectors. While the Council debated protocols, 23 key interstellar corporations based in Council space experienced synchronized code corruption, rendering their AI logistics useless for 80 hours. It wasn't destruction. It was a demonstration. Earth's next move came in the form of information. Timed leaks released not by human authorities but through non-terrestrial third parties, revealing internal council memos planning psychic compliance scenarios for unstable civilizations. The documents were real. Dated. Signed. Confirmed. Protests sparked across multiple systems. Species previously allied with the Council demanded clarity. The Vasari, once staunch supporters, pulled their trade delegates. The Zyvern Assembly threatened secession from all joint ventures unless a formal inquiry into Helena Ruiz's collapse was opened. The Council convened a closed emergency session. They were too slow. The very moment the High Triumvirate began damage control, Helena Ruiz submitted an encoded diplomatic challenge to the Council's arbitration board, a legal clause buried in the original founding accords. It had never been invoked. The clause allowed any civilization's emissary to demand a forensic audit of Council behavior following a documented incident of diplomatic compromise. If the claim held, Earth could request full restructuring of its relations and privileges without Council consent. The move was audacious. But Helena had prepared for this moment since her selection. Earth's legal counter-AI had already simulated 11.3 million scenarios. Every argument had been anticipated, every objection pre-diffused. The board had no choice. Proceedings were scheduled. Council members feigned cooperation. They sent assassins 2 nights later. Helena never returned to her home compound. Her physical body was moved to a secure vault ship orbiting Earth. The decoy clone used for public interaction activated upon receiving a retinal-coded signal from Helena's biocore. The assassins never made it past the perimeter. Earth did not retaliate in kind. The message was received, but humanity changed tactics. They activated the Watchglass network. Across 17 galaxies, micro-drones the size of pollen grains, dormant for years, came alive. Their sole function, observation. In council halls, private compounds, military annexes, and hidden vaults, every whisper confession, every deviation from protocol, every unauthorized comlink was logged. Within 5 days, Earth possessed the deepest intelligence archive in council history. On the 6th day, Helena's legal team transmitted their evidence package. The packet included audio recordings from the chamber during the psychic attack, biometric logs proving illegal pressure exerted on her neural structure, and identity tags of the 9 chanting members. The package included something else, too: intercepted council messages coordinating the aftermath narrative. Publicly, the council claimed neutrality. Privately, they had orchestrated everything. Council panic rippled beneath official calm. Dissent grew. Several mid-tier civilizations refused to ratify existing treaties unless Helena's accusations were addressed. The Human Accord offered no ultimatums. They offered one chance: admit fault, apologize, and restructure the council charter to include mandatory ethical oversight committees with non-council species participation. The offer was rejected within hours. That rejection triggered Protocol Solaris. All throughout council space, phantom failures emerged. Transport hubs misaligned mid-warp, data nexuses corrupted beyond repair, comm satellites looping emergency signals that triggered system-wide lockdowns. Not one human weapon was fired, but chaos bloomed. Every system affected had once voted to reject Helena's arbitration clause. Helena broadcast once, using open-band galactic protocol. She did not accuse. She simply stated the timeline of events, the evidence submitted, and the clauses invoked. She ended the broadcast with a quote from an ancient Terran philosopher: "When we are no longer able to change the situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Then she went dark. Human silence unnerved the stars. For centuries, the Council had survived by keeping its threats visible and predictable. Humans had reversed the equation. Now, no one knew where Earth stood or what it planned next. That uncertainty festered like a virus in political corridors. The Growthin Syndicate, a species known for its strategic neutrality, defected. Their defection included a cache of internal council archives dating back 500 years, proof of manipulated trade wars, and suppressed truths about council-led interventions. The Growthins' move shocked the galaxy, but Helena had expected it. Their chief diplomat had been one of her mentors. By the 10th day, factions within the council began contacting Earth independently, offering separate agreements outside the council framework. Helena responded only once, stating, "We are not building a new alliance. We are documenting who remains honest." This statement triggered widespread anxiety. Planets that had long relied on Earth's biotech, terraforming, or economic stabilizers faced the possibility of isolation. In desperation, the Triumvirate proposed a closed-door reconciliation conference. Earth declined. The terms were public, and the damage had been public. No more shadows. Meanwhile, Helena began assembling a tribunal. Not military, not judicial, ethical observers, not human. She contacted the Ilnari monastics, the Keshvan arbiters, and the Ordhan Seedbound, 3 civilizations with no interest in war, but with absolute devotion to ethical equilibrium. For centuries, these species had remained outside politics, but each had accepted humanity's invitation. Helena offered them nothing but transparency. That was enough. Their arrival shifted the galactic tide. For once, judgment would not be passed by power, but by those untouched by ambition. The council protested. Their protests were met with archived video footage, showing the psychic assault on Helena's slow to frame-by-frame analysis. It was irrefutable. The first council member to step down was High Chancellor Urin of the Voltari. He was replaced within hours. The new delegate issued a formal apology, not on behalf of the Voltari species, but personally, for believing Earth's diplomatic channel could be so easily extinguished. Helena sent no reply. Instead, Earth opened its own diplomatic platform, the Vox Solis Initiative, an open network where any species could submit grievances, agreements, and collaborations without council mediation. Within 72 hours, over 600 petitions were filed. Council authority waned, but Helena knew it wasn't over. Power doesn't yield with grace. It retreats to conspire. Her final act of the section was a public message to all civilizations.